Here are Time Magazine's top 10 favorite games of the year. Number 10. Dredge. One of the most pleasant surprises came from New Zealand indie developer Black Salt Games. What initially appears to be a normal fishing game takes a disturbing dive into Lovecraftian lore. While the game lacks the polish of its AAA counterparts, eye-catching art design, great use of sound, and an ambitious format built into a seemingly simple gameplay make Dredge one to play and Black Salt Games one to watch. Number 9. Diablo 4. The iconic dungeon crawler returned with more classes, more weapons, and more demons to slay. Blizzard Entertainment's fourth core game in the series plays much like the previous ones. While the game has faced some criticism over its somewhat repetitive nature, it's a formula that has been proven to work for the franchise. As far as play-at-your-own leisure games go this year, Diablo 4 is one of the strongest and bloodiest. Number 8. Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Respawn and EA's sequel to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order picks up 5 years after the events of the first game. The game offers new customizable features, like Kestis' appearance, force abilities, and lightsaber stance. As fun as the new features are, it's the emotional storytelling that makes the game such a balanced experience. Number 7. Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Wonder is the first side-scrolling Mario game since 2012's New Super Mario Bros. U, inviting plenty of nostalgia. It's a great entry point game, especially for younger players getting into Mario through the recent movie. For older gamers, it still feels like classic Mario, but now with better graphics, which means there's plenty to love and little to explain in terms of gameplay. Number 6. Dead Space. The remake of the iconic survival horror game from Motive Studio and EA may retell a familiar story, but don't let that fool you into thinking that you know what's around every corner. It's an incredibly designed game, with lighting and sound design that not only takes full advantage of the current gen systems, but creates an end result so terrifying that it forces the player to take a deep breath and check their supplies before venturing forward at every point. Number 5. Resident Evil 4. The best entry of the Resident Evil series gets an upgrade that is more than worthy of the original's reputation. One of the biggest improvements to the game is that Ashley has a lot more agency, and feels more like a partner to Leon rather than being a constant chore for him to keep track of. All of these improvements and additions make RE4 a more enthralling adventure and a high point for contemporary survival horror. Number 4. The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. The sequel to 2017's Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom is the result of the planned DLC content for Breath of the Wild growing too ambitious. Nintendo's Tears of the Kingdom permits the time and space for all of that ambition to get the spotlight it rightly deserves. It's easy to get lost in the beauty of the game and just explore, but the compelling story, linked to the ancient history of Hyrule, always brings the player back to the central quest and solving the mysteries that await there. Number 3. Spider-Man 2. One of the most anticipated games of the year, the follow-up to Insomniac's Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales is an epic and emotional journey that furthers the themes of the previous 2 games and allows the characters and the city they inhabit to evolve. While the game may be a little shorter than Spider-Man, the side quests are more meaningful and work better within the context of the game's themes on the finite nature of time. Ironically, Spider-Man 2 is a game you just won't want to end. When it does, we're left with the greatest superhero game ever made. Number 2. Baldur's Gate 3. Based on Dungeons & Dragons, Baldur's Gate 3 is set in the open world of the Forgotten Realms. The supporting characters and relationships you can develop really make Baldur's Gate 3 a special experience. Given the length of the game, which is well over 100 hours, there's plenty to explore, both on your own or with friends, making Baldur's Gate 3 the gamer gift that keeps on giving. Number 1. Alan Wake 2. Some believed it would never happen, but after 13 years, the cult game Alan Wake finally has a proper follow-up, and it's a doozy. More than just another video game, Alan Wake 2 is a complex yet rewarding narrative, and it's a game worth revisiting to discover additional clues and connections. Just remember to stay in the light.